Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Thursday evening, August 14, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you all like this video. I'd really appreciate it if you all get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak month of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the weather's been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so we need to highlight this post here from Ben Knoll. If you don't know who that is, he's actually a global weather writer meteorologist for the Washington Post, who from time to time makes some very accurate posts here on X about what's expected across the Atlantic. And he stated a La Nina-like pattern will be in place as winter approaches. Cool water in the Pacific affects climate patterns worldwide. Marine heat waves in the mid-latitudes may lead to warm fall weather in parts of the United States, Europe, and Asia. And we know what usually takes place in our neck of the woods across the main development region into the Caribbean when we have a La Nina, more tropical storms, if not hurricanes, developing. We know La Nina is basically when we have cooler than average sea surface temperatures in the eastern to the central Pacific that creates less storms forming across this part of the world, and in turn causes less upper level wind shear to blow across the Caribbean into the Atlantic. So it definitely makes these storm systems easier to form and develop into hurricanes. And he also made another post stating precipitation patterns during September to November suggest unusually drying conditions are possible in the United States and Southern Europe, but hurricanes are a wild card. And he also highlighted this map right here. Look at this map showing the precipitation forecast for September to November 2025. For reference, we can see the Atlantic over here, but we're looking for the greens that represents wetter pattern. And look at where the greens are located. We don't really see the greens across the Caribbean or we have Jamaica. We see more browns that represents drier conditions, but we see a wetter pattern right in here across the southern main development region that's associated with the intertropical convergence zone that could be associated as well with the numerous tropical waves that are going to be coming off of Africa and pushing towards the west. And who knows, maybe they might just make their way across the Caribbean and eventually affect us here in Jamaica. But that's September into November, though. We'll see exactly what unfolds. You can also see a crazy amount of rainfall across the western Pacific, from the Philippines southward and northward into Taiwan, Japan. They've already been getting in some crazy rainfall, but we'll see exactly what unfolds as time goes on. And whatever happens, I will definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs if God spare life. Taking a look at the U.S. National Hurricane Center 7-day graphical tropical weather look that just came out at 7:53 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is actually 6:53 p.m. Jamaica time. We can see that we have a code orange right here across the southwestern Gulf. It was a code yellow in the western Caribbean and then across the Yucatan. Now it's a code orange. Now has a medium chance of development within the next 7 days. And we still have tropical storm Erin right here just to the east of the Leeward Island. And if we take a look at the infrared satellite imagery to confirm, we can see the clouds associated with that code orange trying to get its act together to become the next name system. But it might just run into land and not get that chance, but it still has a medium chance of development. And we have tropical storm Erin right in here, definitely looking formidable, the most formidable it has looked in a long while. Remember, it looked formidable when it was across the Cabo Verde Islands. Then it started to dwindle down in intensity. Now it's looking very impressive. We're going to be looking at a close-up shortly. But that's the wide Atlantic satellite imagery. Not really much apart from those two systems right now. And if we zoom in on what the Hurricane Center has stated, let us see and read. They've stated here, shower and thunderstorm activity has increased in association with an area of low pressure located over the Bay of Campeche. The low is forecast to move west-northwestward across the southwestern Gulf during the next day or so, where environmental conditions are marginally conducive for further development. A tropical depression could form before this system moves inland over northeastern Mexico or southern Texas by late Friday, ending its chances for tropical development. Regardless of development, locally heavy rainfall is possible along portions of northeastern Mexico and southern Texas over the next few days. An Air Force Reserve Hurricane Hunter is en route to investigate this system, and we see that they've given the air a 40% chance of cyclone formation within the next 2 days as well as within the next 7 days. So the key takeaway is that yes, it's going to be bringing a lot of rainfall to those areas, northeastern Mexico, southern Texas, but clearly the land is going to prevent it from ultimately becoming the next named system, ending its chances for development in general. And we know that if something should form next after Erin, the next name is Fernand. But let us zoom in on the latest regarding Erin. Looking very formidable right here. A lot of cloud showers and thunderstorms. As a matter of fact, let me get the lightning view. So that was the tropical tidbits Doppler radar. Let us zoom in a bit on the weather nerds. Well, not the Doppler radar, but the weather nerds satellite imagery right here. Look at the system and look at the Eastern Caribbean islands. It's very big, so they're definitely going to be getting in on something, even if it passes just to the north of there. Let us zoom in a bit and then have a look at the infrared. I mean, look at the deep convection associated with the system. Is it going to load? Doesn't seem like it wants to. Hold on, give it a second. Okay, there we go. So we know the deep convection associated with all the cumulonimbus clouds are represented by all of these blues, greens, yellows, oranges, reds, blacks, grays, purples, all of what we see here on the key on the right. That represents those high cool cloud tops, and we can even make out some sparkling white dots in there that represent some lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. It's definitely trying to get its act together. There's a lot of warm sea surface temperatures out there, and the more west it pushes, the more warm sea surface temperatures it's going to be crossing over in general as it pushes off towards the west. Regarding the path, these spaghetti model plots here from the Euro and the GFS are still adamant that the system should be passing just to the north of the Leeward Islands, developing into a hurricane. Anything in the yellows, anything in the oranges, reds, all of that is hurricane status. Definitely in agreement that the center of the system should be passing to the north of there, but the outer bands can definitely bring rainfall. And even the intensity model guidance here still in agreement that the system is expected to make it all the way up, even up to category 3 status. And category 3 status is basically anywhere from 3, major hurricane status, anywhere from category 3 to 4 or 5, maybe anywhere 111 to maybe 157 miles per hour winds. We know that in terms of the intensity model, this is where the models usually struggle the most, because sometimes they predict that it's going to become a category 3, and then when you look, it's a category 5. Remember Beryl? We weren't sure that it would become a category 5, but it did the unthinkable at the time for sure. Even the supercomputer model runs here are adamant regarding the position of the system. This map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are showing 12Z on Sunday, August 7 a.m. on Sunday. This is where the system should be according to the Euro, just to the north of Puerto Rico and the US and British Virgin Islands. 978 millibars, definitely a hurricane. And we also see the greens into the yellows that represent rainfall affecting portion of the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and sections of the Leeward Island. The GFS showing something similar. I mean, look at the position of both systems, not really far off at all. GFS is a bit stronger, 964 millibars, and we know the lower the millibars, the higher the intensity of the system for sure. Basically the same spot just to the north of Puerto Rico and the US and British Virgin Islands. Then by the end of the 168 hours now, this is valid for Thursday, August 21, and we can see where the system should be located, just to the east of North Carolina, and it's definitely going to be causing a lot of big waves over there for sure. I'm pretty sure that is going to be bringing a lot of big waves across the Leeward Islands as well. But we need to highlight this era. We've been talking about this on yesterday's video. We see a lot of moisture, could be just a strong tropical wave. On the Euro right here, we see the greens into the yellows. That represents anywhere from maybe 1 all the way up to maybe even 6 inches of rainfall right here. This is valid for Thursday, August 21, by the way. But the GFS, where is the GFS? Hold on, looks like I loaded 2 euros. All right, let me find the GFS. Okay, there we go. Okay, I know that I definitely loaded the GFS. There we go. So the GFS has the system a bit more east of where the Euro has it. You can see it right here, a lot of moisture, but we also see an L that represents a possible low pressure system. Very interesting, to be honest. Very, very interesting. We even see an isobar in there. We'll see exactly what unfolds. Could that be the next name after Erin if we don't get Fernand? We'll see, and I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with whatever occurs. But regarding the official information here from the Hurricane Center, as of 5 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, the system is packing maximum sustained winds of 60 miles per hour. And we know tropical storms pack winds of anywhere from 39 to 73 mile per hour winds. So it's definitely up there, getting closer to high-end tropical storm status. It's expected to become an H by Friday afternoon. That's a hurricane. We also see that they have up tropical storm watches in the yellow for portions of the Leeward Islands. Then, as you can see, it's expected to become an M by 2 p.m. on Sunday. M, as we know, represents a major hurricane status. As of right now, it hasn't started on that west-northwest or that northwesterly track yet. The Hurricane Center is confirming that the system is still moving towards the west. Not west-northwest yet, at 17 miles per hour at this time. Maybe by the 11 p.m. update, maybe it will start turning, but if it doesn't start turning soon, the system could definitely come too close for comfort to the Leeward Islands for sure. And we even see the wind probability forecast right here. Anywhere in the greens represents a 5, maybe up to 30% chance of those areas getting in on tropical storm force winds. But the yellows into the oranges and reds, definitely higher chances, 40 all the way up to an 80% chance, but that's going to be mainly out to see if the system indeed tracks over there. And regarding the actual rainfall, we've been talking about this, but this is from the Hurricane Center, showing that the greens, well, the light greens into the dark greens, representing anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of rainfall. That's 25 to 100 millimeters of rainfall expected for portions of Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, anywhere from Guadeloupe northward, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Martin, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda. All of these areas could definitely get in some decent rainfall that could trigger some amount of isolated flash flooding, especially in some low-lying and flood-prone areas. So we just hope that people are taking the necessary precautions, that they're not that drastically affected by what's to come. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see that we have a tropical wave right now across the eastern Caribbean, just to the west of the Lesser Antilles. We have tropical storm Erin right here, and to the east of Erin, just to the west of the Cabo Verde Islands, we have another tropical wave right in here. All of these entities being steered from east to west, all courtesy of the ridge of high pressure to the north. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before we lost the sunlight, we can make out the clouds associated with the tropical wave right in here. It's especially affecting the Leeward Islands as we speak, pushing to the west. We can see the clouds associated with Erin right in here, and we can see the clouds associated with that other tropical wave, especially across the southern portions in the intertropical convergence zone right in there. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Thursday, August 14, 2025. It was stated that rainfall could have been in the forecast for parts of some southern and eastern, parts of some northern and eastern parishes in the morning, then affecting sections of some southern and western parishes during the afternoon. And we know northern parishes for the morning, we're talking about Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. While eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, and St. Andrew. And for the afternoon, it was predicted that would have gotten rainfall across sections of some southern parishes, like Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, Kingston, St. Andrew, and St. Thomas. And western parishes as well would have received that afternoon rainfall. We're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening as early as 4 a.m. Yes, I woke up to pee this morning and I checked in to see if we actually got in on that early morning rainfall. We definitely got that early morning rainfall because a post was made here not only on our Twitter page with the Jamaica, but it was made on our Instagram page with the Jamaica, on our TikTok page with the Jamaica, and on our Facebook page with the Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So at around 4 a.m., the Cuban Doppler radar imagery was posted. Couldn't post Jamaican Doppler radar imagery because it glitched out earlier than that time. But it definitely highlighted some of the greens into the yellows. That represents what we see here on the key on the right. The greens represent moderado, that's moderate rainfall. The yellows represents fuerte, that's strong or heavy rainfall. And we saw that especially across section of northern Jamaica, section of St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, section of eastern St. Thomas getting in on some of the action as well. Just as predicted, they definitely got in on that early morning rainfall. Even the infrared satellite imagery at the time showing a lot of lightning, a lot of thunder taking place. And then by afternoon at around 2:15 p.m. the visible satellite images were also posted, and they highlighted the clouds firing up across sections of some southern and western parishes. We see all of the whites that represent the cloud cover. We see all of the sparkling yellow dots that represent lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes, especially across sections of St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth at that time. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images before we lost sunlight, we can make out that we indeed had some of the thunderstorms across western Jamaica as well. So definitely across Kingston, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, section of Hanover even getting in on some of the action. And even while we were losing the sunlight, we still had some leftover clouds right here across section of western St. Thomas, southeastern St. Andrew, and western parishes. And even the infrared right here confirming the thunderstorms. All of the blues, greens, yellows, oranges, reds, blacks that represent the cumulonimbus cloud cover, especially across section of some southern and western parishes. And even the sparkling white dots, so we know represents some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. But clearly, by the time of this recording, everything is dissipating and pushing off towards the west. And we definitely have confirmation right here, the live camera from C Jamaica's YouTube channel. This was around 4:17 p.m. and we saw that we're definitely getting in on some decent rainfall at that time around the Bagua Gorge. Look at the moderate to heavy rainfall. We see the wind blowing. We see people in their vehicles going about their business on the Bagua Gorge. Definitely frightening for a lot of people. I know that this is a frightening experience to be going across the Bagua Gorge, where we have the Rio Cobra flat bridge in general whenever it's raining, because trust me, it can change like a dime. Can't see the river right now green, but it could be raining tremendously upstream, and then you know the water comes down like crazy. No one wants to be on the bridge when something like that should happen. And we definitely have confirmation right here from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website. We see all of the rainfall that took place today. The blue, well, the purples into the blues, greens, yellows. That represents that rainfall across some southern and western parishes during the afternoon, and that rainfall also across northern and eastern parishes during the morning hours. And we definitely have some comments right here confirming what the weather was like in some of our followers and subscribers areas. We have Brielle Patton stating it's thunderstorming and I can't take the thunder and lightning. I will take the rain but nothing else. We also have Prophetic Samis. He tagged me in a video today stating raining for over 1 hour. Wishing this for Kingston and St. Catherine need more volume. We also see he stated the location Sydney Pagan STEM Academy in St. Elizabeth. Date and time Thursday, August 14, 2025. And look at the heavy rainfall that was taking place at that time. Look at the blinding rainfall. And it was definitely windy at that time. St. Elizabeth definitely getting a decent lashing at that time. I mean, look at the heavy rainfall. I'm sure everybody wish they were getting some of this, even right now, for sure, to cool down the temperatures. I mean, look at that. That's some decent rainfall in St. Elizabeth. I just wish Kingston, if not, my area in St. Thomas, would get that kind of weather every day. But I'm grateful that they got the rainfall for sure. They definitely need it everywhere in Jamaica for sure there. So, keep the rainfall coming. We also have a comment here from Latoya Taylor sitting get rain in St. Elizabeth where I am. Even on our TikTok page this morning we had DKM sitting heavy rain and lightning in North Trelawney, just to confirm that rainfall in the north this morning, not the east. And even Marlon underscore one god underscore stating cloudy right now with the Jamaica. That was this morning. Lightning and thunder Hanover earlier. That was this morning as well. On our Instagram page, we had some comments coming in for the afternoon. Edwards Tanisha stating it's raining in South Manchester, heavy too. Sand C underscore cousin stating overcast in Northeast Manchester, thunder rolling. Thanks for confirming. We have SS Beauty Collection stating strong lightning and thunder in Montego Bay, Adelphia. It's very loud. Woke me up. Oh, that was this morning. Doppler radar showing the morning rainfall. Thank you for confirming. We have Rain J stating strong thunder and lightning in Trelawney. No, thank you for confirming that rainfall this morning for sure. Now, back to the afternoon comment. We have Frank Boss 305 stating it barely a fall of Mandeville. We have CJ underscore Latoya underscore over underscore vanity stating breeze. We also have one comment right here from Iman.I86 stating raining in Portland. That was this morning. And then some comments right here on our YouTube page. We had Randall Green stating good evening weather Jamaica. We got some rainfall this morning. Then it was cloudy by the time of his comment. Then Dwayne Knight stating yes, we get some showers in porous Manchester. Thank you for confirming. We also have Winston stating I'm in Junction St. Elizabeth and the rain is pouring down. Thanks for confirming. We have June stating just a sprinkle in New Kingston. And John Gotti 9783 stating Southfield St. Beth heavy showers. I'm pretty sure that they definitely got the heavy rainfall for sure. And I'm grateful that they got it. Alright, so let us reload the very latest still image from the Weather News website. Let us see what's happening right now. Let us also reload the latest Jamaican Doppler radar, the latest Cuban Doppler radar, the latest Guantanamo Bay US Navy radar, and the latest Cayman radar to confirm what's happening across the island right now. Alright, so the latest Jamaican infrared satellite imagery is showing 0005 UTC, which is actually 7:05 p.m. So this just came out 5, 10, 15 minutes ago, 16 minutes ago, considering that it is 7:21 p.m. right now. As you can see, not much taking place across the central to the eastern end, but the western end still have some clouds. We see the whitish into the blue shades, and we also see a lot of rainfall to the southwest. Wherever we have the sparkling white dots, we definitely have some rainfall out there. So let us confirm. Unfortunately, the Jamaican Doppler radar glitched out today, so it's not working. What does the Cuban Doppler radar show? Very good. The Cuban Doppler radar is showing the latest, which is actually 8:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 7:10 p.m. Jamaica time. And we can actually see that rainfall just to the southwest of us. For sure, definitely coinciding with what we're seeing here on the infrared satellite imagery. We don't see much across the western end of the island, though. All of these colors that we're seeing is ground clutter. That's just a glitch on the Doppler radar imagery. And if we take a look at the Guantanamo Bay US Navy radar, not seeing much of anything across northeastern Jamaica, but we do see some rainfall in and around southeastern Cuba. We also see some rainfall across the southern end of the western peninsula of Haiti. Regarding the Cayman radar now, we can actually see that rainfall to the southwest of Jamaica for sure. If we look closely, we can also see some rainfall to the south and to the southwest of the Cayman Islands right there. And if we take a look at the live camera here from C Jamaica's YouTube channel, nothing in the way of bad weather taking place at all at this time. You can see people in their vehicles going about their business, people walking about going about their business. Nothing in the way of bad weather taking place across halfway through this evening, and that should be the order of the night. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we have 28 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay and Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Friday, temperature should dip down to about 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Friday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Friday, and we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some grays that we know represents average temperatures. And we know the average temperatures are, around 81 degrees Fahrenheit for the month of August. That's around 32.8 degrees Celsius. So that should be the temperature forecast for Jamaica on Friday, up to 32.8 at most. And we have some maintenance outage advisories here from my JPS Online Twitter page I have to highlight. I know that we have to highlight this because we know that when we have power outages somewhere across the island, it can definitely make the heat feel even worse because we don't have our fan or our AC to cool us down. So if you live or work in these areas, or if you have friends or relatives who live or work in these areas, please let them know that a power outage is coming their way on Friday, August 15, 2025. We're referring to entire West Street, Peacock Heights, Xena Way, Allen Crescent, Alamanda Drive, Lantana Drive, Fern Crescent, section of Lovers Lane, Ashton Subdivision, Flat Rock, all in the parish of St. Elizabeth from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We also have outages expected for Keto, Spring Garden, Springfield in Westmoreland from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. It states here, seek shade when outside, eat fresh, try eating cold foods such as salads and fruits. Rest, make sure you get enough sleep and rest if you're feeling tired. Soak, take a cool shower or bath to help you cool down. And I cannot stress enough the importance of keeping hydrated throughout the day. Drink lots of water even if you're not thirsty, and put away those sugar drinks and drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, we know that the dry air is represented by what we see here on the key on the bottom. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those rays. And we can see the abundance of dry air extending across the main development region into the Caribbean right here. All of the dry air in the yellows, oranges, reds. We know the dry air is responsible for keeping the atmosphere stable, making it harder for it to rain. But what we like that we're seeing is a lot of blues across the intertropical convergence zone extending to tropical storm area. We also see a lot of blues off the east coast of the US down into the Gulf and off the coast of Central America. Wherever we have the blues, that's where we have the gray clouds that we know bring more rainfall. I wish we had more of this moisture so that we get more rainfall to keep water in our pipes and keep temperatures down. But clearly, Caribbean has a lot of dry air. And what about the Saharan dust? Let us find the Saharan dust. Because in terms of the forecast for the Saharan dust, yes, we had a vigorous plume pass just to the south of us, and we're grateful for that. But clearly, look at this. We see another plume of Saharan dust right behind where Erin should be moving. But we're looking at the next 3 days, so we're heading into August 15, 16, and 17. As you can see, Jamaica should be right here in the clear for the most part. Just some slight Saharan dust on August 15, then August 16, 17, into the 17. We see that it should be clear for the most part across the entire Caribbean. And trust me, if we have a lot less Saharan dust, it's going to be even wetter for sure, and we're grateful for that. I mean, look at the crazy Saharan dust though that's across the main development region, and that should eventually be pushing towards the west after Erin is gone. So we have to pay close attention to see exactly what happened after Erin is out of here. Alright. Regarding the wave forecast for tomorrow, it's making sense that the highest waves across the entire Atlantic should be wherever we have tropical storm Erin as we speak. I mean, look at the dark blues into the purples, into the pinks, into the burgundies. It represents anywhere from 2 meter wave heights all the way up to maybe even 6 or more meter wave heights. And it's just going to be increasing the more Erin becomes a hurricane. So higher wave heights going to be kicked up because of the system's strong hurricane force winds. That's expected. Well, look at the Caribbean. We're seeing more light shades of blues to dark shades of blues representing anywhere from 0.5 for meter wave height all the way up to 1, maybe up to 1.5 meter wave height. And if we zoom in a bit on Jamaica, Jamaica, we see in terms of our wave forecast for tomorrow, to the north of Portland, up to 0.9 of a meter wave height expected. To the south of St. Thomas, up to 0.8 of a meter wave height expected. To the north of St. Anne, 0.8 of a meter wave height. To the south of Clarendon, 0.3 of a meter wave height. To the south of Westmoreland, 0.3 of a meter wave height. To the north of Hanover, 0.6 of a meter wave height. The fishermen are going to love this, and that's because of the winds that are expected. We don't see strong winds at all, and we have lighter winds. We see the winds coming in, looks like from the northeast right over here on the northern edge. On the south coast, we see more of a southeasterly kind of flow. But look at where the air is piling up. We see the air piling up across sections of some central and western parishes. That's where we could have those low-level clouds becoming mid-level rain clouds, if not upper-level cumulonimbus clouds as usual. That's where we could have that daytime heating rainfall taking place. And if we take a look at the upper level winds at that time, we see that the upper level winds seem to be coming in more so from the west-northwest tomorrow. So unlike today, where when we had the thunderstorms, they were being sheared off towards the west, as you can see here. Tomorrow is going to be the opposite. Upper level clouds are going to be blown back from the west northwest to the east southeast, maybe bring some overcast skies, if not some isolated thunder showers to sections of some southern and maybe even some eastern parishes for sure. Very interesting. We'll see how all of that plays out, and I will definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs. But if you actually take a look at the actual rainfall forecast maps now, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both valid for 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 4 a.m. Jamaica time. And both maps are in agreement that there should be some more blues that represent rainfall across sections of some northern and eastern parishes once again. So maybe anywhere from St. Ann eastward, St. Mary, Portland, maybe section of eastern St. Thomas getting in on that early morning rainfall. Then by around 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's actually 2 p.m. Jamaica time, we clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS malls are at it again with the afternoon rainfall, and it looks like it's mainly across sections of some central and western parishes. We're talking about sections of Hanover, sections of Westmoreland, sections of St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, sections of St. Catherine, maybe sections of St. Andrew getting in on some of the action. We also see some blues across sections of southwestern Portland, southern St. Mary's, southern St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover. Look out for that rainfall, definitely across sections of some central and western parishes on Friday afternoon. And even the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps here from the Euro and the GFS are adamant that it's going to be raining somewhere in Jamaica within the next 24 hours. The Euro going up to at least 0.49 of an inch of rainfall. The GFS going up to at least 0.58 of an inch of rainfall. Could be more, could be less. And whatever happens, we'll definitely take it because we're in the month of August. And in Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the top, we usually receive almost 100 millimeters of rainfall for the month of August. In Montego Bay, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom, we usually receive almost 5 inches of rainfall for the month of August. And I would like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives in terms of rainfall for the month of August or for the entire year, you can visit this website. That's www.weather-and-climate.com, and that website to show you that information. And you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters that we receive on the rain gauge. We know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us according to the latest Euro and GFS supercomputer model runs that came out today. So keep your eyes focused on the timestamp right here at the top as we go to the next one, John 68 hours. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens that represents inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. Alright, so looking ahead, we just looked at Friday's forecast. Now it's time to look at Saturday. This is 12Z on Saturday, August 16. And we know that represents 7 a.m. and look at where Erin should be located, just to the north of the Lesser Antilles right there. Don't really see much of anything across Jamaica in terms of the grains that represent rainfall. But look at this Saturday afternoon, maybe some rainfall across the southwestern end. We'll see how that plays out. What does the GFS show? You know, the GFS is more accurate. The afternoon rainfall. The morning, nothing for the GFS. Afternoon, look at that rainfall across eastern and central parishes on the GFS. Let us see what Sunday morning brings. On Sunday morning, don't really see much of anything across Jamaica. Sunday afternoon, maybe some rainfall across some central and western parishes. There's the GFS show. Sunday morning, nothing. Sunday afternoon, looks like rainfall across central and western parishes, just like what the Euro was showing. What do we see for Monday morning? Not really seeing much of anything. Monday afternoon, what do we see? Maybe some rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. What does the GFS show? Monday morning, nothing. Monday afternoon, maybe some rainfall across some eastern, northern, and western parishes. What do we see for Tuesday morning? Tuesday morning, we see some rainfall to the south of us. Tuesday afternoon, maybe some rainfall across some central and western parishes. What does the GFS show? Tuesday morning, nothing. Tuesday afternoon, maybe some rainfall across some northern and eastern parishes. Interesting. Then on a Wednesday morning, what do we see? Maybe some rainfall to the north of us. Wednesday afternoon, maybe some rainfall across sections of some eastern, central, western parishes. What does the GFS show? Wednesday morning, rainfall to the north of us. Wednesday afternoon, rainfall across some eastern, northern, and western parishes. Then at the end of the 1 John 68 hours, just like what we highlighted earlier, we see where Erin should be located, right to the east of the North Carolina area. The GFS still a bit farther than where the Euro has it, but clearly we see some moisture around Jamaica. Very interesting. What does the GFS show? We see some moisture across eastern Jamaica. We'll see exactly what unfolds, and whatever happens, I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs. But regarding the total accumulated precipitation, we clearly see that moisture that Erin is going to bring. I mean, look at all of the rain in the dark red, purples, into the pinks, into the peach colors, into the blues that represents anywhere from 2 all the way up to maybe 10 inches of rainfall, but that's just out to sea. But clearly a lot of it is expected for a portion of the Leeward Islands, anywhere from 2 all the way up to maybe 3.5 inches of rainfall. That's, you know, worthy of bringing about some amount of isolated flash flooding. We also see the usual same amount across portion of northern South America into Central America, even although they're not getting in on a tropical system. They're down there in the intertropical convergence zone, so it makes sense that they're getting those rainfall amounts. But clearly other areas extending, we're talking about from the Bahamas into the Greater Antilles, into the Lesser Antilles, those areas that are shaded in the yellows, oranges, reds, that represents up to 1 inch or less of rainfall. That's what's expected, at least 1 inch or less of rainfall for the next 7 days. But if we zoom in on Jamaica's rainfall totals for the next 7 days, clearly we're still seeing the same amount of rainfall rates on the Euro, anywhere from the blues into the greens, that represents anywhere from 1 millimeter all the way up to at least 20 millimeters of rainfall from the eastern end to the western end. The GFS showing up to at least maybe even 40 millimeters of rainfall, especially across the northwestern end. We'll see exactly what unfolds. Keep in mind that both of these maps are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until Thursday, August 21. So it's not set in stone, and we know that most of this rainfall is going to be during the afternoon, especially across sections of some central and western parishes. Alright, that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus your attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have Erin right here spinning away. Saw that we lost the sunlight. We can also see that we don't have much taking place across the Caribbean at this time. But if we zoom in on the Doppler radar imagery in and around Puerto Rico at this time, we can see that portion of northeastern Puerto Rico getting in on some rainfall as we speak. We can also see some isolated showers in and around Guadeloupe. Loading these images from earlier today, we saw that we had some isolated showers across portion of southwestern Puerto Rico. Regarding the Barbados radar, we can actually see some rainfall right here affecting St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Some rainfall passing to the north of Tobago, could affect Tobago later on. Regarding the weather of Doppler radar images, we can see some rainfall across the northern Guatemala area, northwestern Yucatan Peninsula, section of Colombia, Venezuela as usual. And if we take a look at where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are adamant that within the next 24 hours, we should be starting to get in on some amount of rainfall across the Leeward Islands, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Montserrat, Guadeloupe, sections of the US and British Virgin Islands associated with tropical storm future Hurricane Erin. We also see some rainfall expected for the Bahamas, Florida, sections of Cuba, the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, southern Puerto Rico, sections of Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, Suriname, sections of Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, eastern Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, the Yucatan Peninsula getting in on some of the action as well. And we clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS modes are in agreement with this forecast for the next 24 hours. Regarding what's happening on the eastern Pacific side of things, I don't think nothing was taking place at all. And there we have it. Nothing was taking place at all. Eastern Pacific definitely dead, but the Western Pacific looks like we don't have anything else over there. Chilling for the time being. We had that hurricane that pushed into Taiwan and China. Nothing taking place at this time at all. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.